Hello and welcome back to Raised by Giants, where we talk all things spirituality. I'm Ryder Lee. Tonight, I wanted to discuss some secret space program and super soldier content, but disclaimer, I've created this theory and concept on my own. This wasn't something I watched in a video and heard anyone else say anything about, and I've only spoken about this to one other person. So anybody else that may have talked about it did not get the information from me. But again, this is just a theory. And that's all that it is. It's a theory and a concept. It's not fact, but I think it's a pretty sound theory and it makes sense to me. And I also have some slides to show you. So it's not just you guys staring at my face the entire time. So let me pull that up. So the easiest way I can explain this is everything is energy. So when we make a decision, we choose to do this thing or that thing. Should I get this job? Should I move? Should I travel? And so on. No matter what direction or what decision you choose, your life will be different. And energy goes into making that decision and that choice. But what happens to that alternate choice or decision you could have made? Well, I contend it also gets created, and another you is living out that other decision or choice. And really, how I got this and how it popped into my head for me was going back over my second presentation, Attack on the Heart, A Fight for Humanity, and the idea of consciousness transfer. I stated in that presentation that time doesn't run linear in the way that we think. It's actually stacked upon each other, along with all of the different realities, parallel realities, and alternate timelines, all stacked, only separated very thinly. We are multidimensional beings existing on every level of reality simultaneously. We are only one version of ourselves here in this reality, on this timeline. But there are many versions of us in parallel realities and alternate timelines, and happening right now simultaneously. And then that got me thinking, well, if that's the case, then what would happen if we hopped on over into a different parallel reality or an alternate dimension? And could we? So then I thought, well, what is a near-death experience? Right? Well, it's where you die and your consciousness is separated from your body. Some meet entities, some see tunnels of light, bright white light, and they're able to come back and tell the tale of their stories and their experiences. But who's to say that that same consciousness that's separated from the body is the same consciousness to return to the body? Because often when people have near-death experiences, they come back different, somehow changed, or they come back with a means to change their life. I've had a near-death experience and it was very illuminating, complete and utter darkness, but that's besides the point. My thought was that what if when people have a near-death experience, they bring a fractal of a different consciousness from a different timeline or dimension or alternate reality with them, right? This would explain the sudden change of behavior, but the consciousness is so subtle that it's hard to tell the difference. When I had my near-death experience, I had no idea where I was for quite some time. And I think that this could be a different consciousness from a different or alternate reality or dimension attempting to enter into the consciousness that we currently have in this timeline, but it's disoriented and it creates confusion. But if integrated, which gets into my third presentation talking about integrating past lives, not just remembering them, but integrating them, taking them on the consciousness as your own. We all exist on every level of reality, on every parallel dimension, some different, some are slightly different, but none are the same. So if we skipped into a different reality right now, we would both be there because we're connected through every dimension of reality. Well, at least your soul group is. And what do SSP and super soldier whistleblowers say? Well, they say that there's a parallel them out there in space right now, or many parallel thems in some cases, just a different version of them doing all kinds of different things, fighting wars, space battles. But just like what me and you would be doing right now in a different reality. But could a parallel me exist at the same time in this exact timeline or reality? So a lot of people that has been through the program say that they were tortured, brutalized, raped, starved, horrendous things. And here's the thing, you can't create consciousness out of nothing. But what you can do is fracture the mind to open up different parts of the brain, to leave space for a completely separate or different consciousness to inhabit. But they're not integrated. They're compartmentalized in the brain. These are called alters, but I don't think people have asked the right questions about these alters. Where do they come from? And I think some have mistaken them for their own consciousness here in this reality, in this timeline, when in fact they might not be. And many talk about the Montauk project, how you're strapped into a chair, a portal is opened, a artificial portal is created and opened, and it looks like a tunnel, a wormhole. I remember the tunnel being blue, but so your consciousness is extracted from your body. You travel to a different reality or dimension, and you come back. It's an artificial NDE that they are simulating, the NDE. But the trick was getting the consciousness to travel to the desired location because some were powerful enough to go to other places. But again, that's besides the point. Each one of these fractured or split consciousness that was fractalized from the whole consciousness went through this artificial portal. The mind had to be fractalized because if the whole consciousness went through the portal, the physical body would die. So each one of the fractalized consciousness went through this portal into an alternate reality or an alternate dimension and came back. And we can forget our reference for time. Think of it like a dream. I've had some dreams that felt like they lasted a week when it had only been one night. Time doesn't exist. It could have been just a few minutes in this reality, on this timeline, but a lifetime out there, 20 years, 60 years. This is where I believe the alters come from, is different realities and different dimensions. It's us. It's our consciousness. It's just traveling to a different dimension and a different reality. And it's trying to integrate with us here in this timeline. They've been split off and have lived for years in a different reality, in the future, in the past, alternate realities, parallel realities, or a completely different, separate dimension. I hope that this is making sense, a little bit of sense. At least I think that people that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. So each one of these fractured consciousnesses went through the portal to live out a life, doing different things, fighting wars, going to Mars, going to the moon, traveling in space. So basically what I'm saying is, what if the SSP and super soldier stuff isn't happening in this reality? It's happening in a different reality. This also explains why there isn't any evidence of the SSP or super soldier programs other than the torture programs, MK Ultra, Stargate, and stuff like that. What I have always thought, why haven't more of the SSP and super soldier whistleblowers been killed for revealing the kind of information they are? And some have been killed. But again, the answer could be that they aren't being killed because the experiences that they have had and the memories that they are recalling isn't happening in this reality. It's happening somewhere else. And that's the reason why they weren't killed from the jump and are actually able to come back, because it's all happening in a different reality, an alternate dimension. Now, this doesn't mean that the SSP whistleblowers and testimony isn't real. That is not what I'm saying. It's all very real. Do not get me wrong. But it possibly just didn't happen here. It happened to fractals of consciousnesses in different dimensions and realities that our minds can't even begin to perceive because we're operating off of a very limited perspective and want to identify everything with happening in this 3D reality when it's not. And that's not to say some of the things aren't happening in this timeline or in this reality, because they are, but it's a very small portion. Anyway, I would have liked this to have been more detailed because there's still a lot more layers to this, but I felt that it was important, and I like to talk about all kinds of different things on this channel. I felt like this was important to share. This wasn't a discounting of anyone's experiences, so don't bring the heat down on me, okay? You can disagree, that is fine. I do not care if you disagree. But I keep my mind open to any and all possibilities. It is just a theory, so take it or leave it. Run with it if you desire, but I think we're looking at all this stuff in a very linear 3D way, when it may not. When that may not be the case. So anyway, thanks so much for listening to my rant. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions you may have, try and throw them in the comments, and I'll try and answer them the best that I can. Thanks for watching and listening, everyone. I really appreciate it. If you would like to make a donation to the channel to help me produce more content, check the links in the description for donation options. Thank you all so much, and thanks to everyone that's donated so far. Much appreciation to you. Share, subscribe, smash the thumbs up button to help the channel out in the YouTube algorithm. Hit the bell icon as well for notifications. And remember, we're not only in a spiritual war, but a war on humanity. Stay aware, stay alert, keep love in your heart for everyone. Stay safe out there. And if you can see through the illusion, you are the solution. See you guys next time.